Hello and welcome back to the Planning Pulse podcast brought to you by Acorio. My name is Matt Harvest and I lead the adaptive planning practice at Acorio. With me today, I've got two new guests joining the podcast. They're somewhat friendly faces. I got Adams and Mateo here with me. How are we doing today, guys?
Yeah, doing well. Excited to be here.
Awesome.
Excited likewise.
Awesome. Well, really appreciate you guys joining. Before we dive into the topic for today, I do want to ask you guys, we just had opening day of baseball last week. We got any baseball fans in the house?
Big Rangers fan. Love the Rangers.
Okay. Well, right now, I think the Rangers are, half a game back. It's probably the closest that we're going to be to first place for a while. I don't know, Adams. Do you think Rangers are going to take over and go all the way this year?
I like our chances. We're performing pretty well. Our guys just need to stay healthy. Got a good staff, so I'm excited. I'll be at a few games this year as well, so looking forward to it.
I like that. Some of those things that you just mentioned make me, remind me of Acorio, right? Got a good staff, perform really well. I love hearing those things. So
As long
I
as
always like to
Mateo
tie
stays
it back.
healthy.
As long as Mateo stays healthy, Acorio's got a really good future. I really like that. So today we are going to be focused on the 2026 R1 release, some features and enhancements that came out. For those who are familiar with Workday, Workday puts out two semi-annual releases per year. R1 release, which comes out in March, and the R2 release, which comes out in September. Today, we're going to be focusing on a few of those enhancements that have come out from the R1 release. Of course, there are a lot of them that come out. We're going to try to summarize a few of our most favorite enhancements that a lot of our customers are starting to use and starting to adopt immediately. So let me start by turning it over to Mateo. Mateo, maybe share with me 2 to 3 favorite features that came out in the R1 release.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say maybe two that are my favorite are a little bit more under the radar. Maybe not some of the more flashy ones, but some that will make probably the still a big difference for our clients. So really excited about these. Share my screen. I'll show you kind of the first one here. It's just
Awesome.
some kind of enhancement on our access rules. Previously, we were able to create access rules to restrict and kind of define how users can interact with the data in the system, right? Leveraging those secure dimensions and the accounts in the system. Now we have the ability to further go into these model sheets and kind of manage the columns on the sheet from a more detailed perspective. So where previously we just had the ability to do those dimensions or accounts, now we see this new option to manage sheet columns. And you can see you could filter for all of our model sheets in the system. For example, we wanted to leverage this feature for workforce planning. In a scenario where we want to kind of restrict a raise date or a pay raise percent that maybe we don't want everyone seeing. We want a subset of our planners to see. I have this kind of modeled here as an example. So we can kind of toggle those date and number fields on the modeled sheet. And then to kind of show you what that looks like from a user perspective, I can jump over to the sheet. So where looking at the back end, all the different fields, we have pay raise and pay raise percent and raise date here as the fields included. When I go to the front end here, in between pension plan and pay rate, you'll see that those are no longer visible. So kind of a neat feature there. Pretty easy to set up if you're familiar with setting up access rules. So I think this is a big one here.
Tell you a quick question for you before you jump over there. So when we're restricting fields on modeled sheets, is it specific to certain field types or is it eligible for all field types?
And that's a good point. So while this enhancement allows for all the different data entry columns, we're still not able to hide the dimension fields. So basically all non-dimension fields is what we're going to be dealing with now. So still
do you see
benefit.
Yeah. Do you see this being used to hide like pay rate columns or more so around specific things like you had mentioned before, like the raise percentages or anything?
Yeah, absolutely. Pay rate is probably going to be one that we see a lot. I know that that's typically a number type of field. where we did have the ability to hide initial balances. So we did have ways around it to configure and build those securities around pay rate before. The real kind of value add is, hiding texts, hiding dates, the other kind of miscellaneous numbers around more sensitive parts of the workforce data. So,
Gotcha. Thank you.
absolutely. Uh, and then kind of the second piece, again, I would say that this is more kind of under the radar, but definitely very significant when it comes to our R126 release, is this concept of improved and more scalable predictive forecaster uh, uh, kind of elements here. So if you want to see kind of how to set up the predictive forecaster, we might have another episode for that for you to reference. But just kind of taking a look into like a general setup of a uh, predictive forecast, you'll see that we have a selection for reference data and dimensions that we want to include. So this can result in many intersections that we're dealing with and that Adaptive considers whenever to generate that machine learning forecast. And so what we see with R126 is an increased computation ability. So I'll show you this error that I encountered before with a client. I'm showing you this from a client instance. So just taking a screenshot so as not to show any sensitive data. But previously I had a forecasting kind of process where it met that threshold of 1 million intersections or cells, and therefore it failed. So now it's going from 1 million to 10 million. So really increasing 10x, giving us a lot more computation power, a lot more reference data that we have the ability to feed through these models, and hopefully a lot more of a scalable use cases for this machine learning. So,
I love that.
yeah, really excited about that one. But with that, I can stop sharing and kick it over to Adams. I know he has some exciting stuff to share as well.
Thanks for that, Mateo. I'll go ahead and grab the screen here and just talk through my first one being adaptive planning hubs. This is one that I'm very excited about. I've gotten to use quite a bit with my clients, which is existing now in the top left of our global navigation. It kind of operates similar to dashboards on this landing page with our personal and shared. But the goal here when we create this is to centralize our data into one tab, essentially. If we wanted all of our financial statements to be included into one piece, including all reports, dashboard sheets, any tasks that might be associated with financial statements, we can centralize them into one tab. When we create this hub, it's a very simple process by utilizing this plus button in the top. This button, or this tab here rather, being our overview section, allows us to add text to describe what this hub is used for. If we just want to say, this is a section to centralize our reports, sheets, dashboards, we can go ahead and type out just some dashboards, and that can sit here, and we can fill that out as much as needed, as much detail or direction to guide our end users when utilizing our hubs. If we wanted to pull in specific revenue accounts or say our different headcount values or things like that, we'll be able to pull in those individual accounts to this overview, have them tie into a specific version on a time alignment in the stratum or time stratum rather. And if we go ahead and select done, this overview tab will populate with those metrics or these accounts that we're looking at to give just a quick high level quick hit on these specific accounts. Again, though, with this plus button here in the top, we're able to bring in individual dashboards, sheets, reports. We can have groups or folders for those as well, and any external links that we'd like to include, as well as tasks within our integration. I'll go ahead and just build out a quick group here for our balance sheet Go ahead and just name that balance sheet group. And now we have the ability to hit these 3 dots and then add our individual sheets, reports, dashboards, which I can jump in our financial statements group here, or balance sheet group. We can just select our balance sheet and select add. And if we click on this balance sheet and select a level for us to view at, we can let that spin for a second, and that'll populate our sheet within this hub. And while we're waiting for that to load as well, we can go ahead and just add a report for our balance sheet that we created in our report section, as well as a dashboard that can give us some good looking KPIs for those data pieces. We'll go ahead and grab, let's see. There we go. It's hiding from me for a quick second there. But we'll see here that our sheet is populated within our hub here. I'll select done just so we can see that. We're fully able to look through our data. If we have cells that we can input on, say on modeled sheets, we can make edits and adjustments on this view as well. And then we can easily just click into a report, let this run for a quick second. And now we're seeing a report that we made off that same data. And then once we click into our dashboard and select our levels, we'll let this load for a quick second, and we'll see our dashboard that we created for our balance sheet to appear here as well. Again, this is just consolidating all of our balance sheet information, any specific sheets, reports, dashboards into one tab, and not needing to have to bounce back between all of our different landing spots within Adaptive. Sheets and reports, or sheets specifically that are brought into our dashboards, can still be edited if they are, again, modeled sheets with active dashboarding. We'll still be able to utilize that feature of dashboards within hubs. So any processes that end users do utilize in their day-to-day when working in these sheets or dashboards, or even reports, can still be used and accessed. So in terms of functionality, everything still exists. We can filter as we do normally in the individual locations, but again, they're just centralized, allowing our end users to have everything in that one spot.
Yeah. And Adam, so I really like the look and feel of the hubs too, right? Like I think that we had been using dashboards a lot in this manner where we're driving all of our users to one place, we're putting reports, we're putting dashboards. But this gives us a little bit more flexibility too. I saw that you could put in workflows, you could put in integration tasks to be present within the hub as well. So there's a lot more that you're going to be able to do in terms of utilizing the hub rather than an individual dashboard. So I really like that. And I like how you've got the ability to group. So you could have different views for different components within something like your balance sheet forecast rather than just having balance sheet as its own perspective. So I'm really excited to kind of see what hubs are doing. There's one thing that, as you were hovering over the balance sheet over here, I wanted to draw your attention to as well, where you create a thread directly from this dashboard view. So if you hover over the balance sheet on the bottom right that you've got here, you've got that little, it looks like a comment box, but it's a little bit higher up. It says create thread. With the latest release that we did have in R1, one of the things that, I'm sure that you're going to get here with one of your favorite things, because it's one of my favorite things, is the ability to put in comments or notes and tag folks on your team, and it's going to notify them in Teams and Slack as well. So I'm going to get a Slack notification or Teams notification here that says, Adam's just wants me to come in and update something here. So some of the really neat features related to hubs is, again, you can see your integration tasks. You can see everything that you need to do in one particular place, but you can also have that back and forth dialogue with your team. And when I receive that Teams notification, it's going to drop me exactly here in this view, pre-filtered all the way down to exactly that view that Adams was looking at. So I'm really excited about that as well.
Absolutely. And I think another feature that will be useful will be this app link section. Any external link we'd like to add, maybe if it's to the Workday Help Center or the community, anything like that. If we have specific questions regarding a modeled sheet, how to add new rows, we can link in the Help Center directly into our hub here, allowing for that quick access, and we'll just add a new pop-up tab directly to that link. So you'll still maintain this page and just have that extra tab up there as well. But having the ability to pull in your tasks into this as well, if we wanted to make ease of access for running these tasks, like you said, we can click into our import, run that task here, and have that all be centralized again, and not having to jump into the integration tab and go back into reporting and dashboards. So
Absolutely.
centralization is very nice. And I'm excited to see how this can grow as well.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, appreciate you sharing that, Adams. I do want to pivot sort of just into the last subject that I did want to share as we're getting into, talking a little bit more about Workday Reimagined and how the Planning Pulse is going to fit into the broader podcast series. One of the topics for us this month in particular is AI and ML forecasting. I know that Matteo went through some enhancements to the ML forecast technology. I wanted to talk through some of the latest enhancements when it comes to AI and analytics inside of Adaptive, and particularly as it relates to R1 release. They started to roll out in limited availability what's called the planning agent. Now, the planning agent is going to have a series of agents over time that are released, but what is going to start to be available immediately is going to be data exploration. Now, what that means for you is if you're inside of let's say, in this example, I'm in this scenario planning hub. Hub's the same sort of place that Adams just had us, and I'm inside of my P&L version variance hub. And what I can do from here is actually click on the planning agent. And planning agent is going to say, do I want to summarize this report? Do I want to detect anomalies? Do I want to look at any type of variance? In this case, I just want to go ahead and maybe let's go with identify variances. Let's start there. So what this is going to allow us to do is really pinpoint some of the variances without us having to go in and spend a whole lot of manual time looking at, where am I seeing some of the largest variances from an actuals to budget standpoint. So inside of, our variance, I could even further analyze variance on a particular line item here. In this case, it's product revenue. So it's going in and looking at revenue holistically, break it down by each one of my subgroups. Now, this variance analysis really gives us this nice summarized view. It gives us, by level, it gives us by region. I could continue drilling in, exploring if I wanted to continue looking at it, maybe by, explain by, let's go with, any one of these particular pieces. So looking at location. All of the different features, functionality lets us continue drilling in, exploring the data itself. So really nice feature for us, really meant for us to begin removing a lot of the manual processes that are in place for our users on a weekly or a monthly basis, having to go in and explain variances, explain differences, put together charts, put together dials. Let's go ahead and change this chart type. Let's go ahead and download this into a presentation format. So the planning agent, again, in limited release right now, but it's going to continue going out into more and more frequent releases throughout the year as more information becomes readily available or more agents become tested and readily available. So when we think about the reinvestment from Workday back into tools like adaptive planning, we always want to sort of reiterate that planning agents and AI is at the forefront of everyone's mind, and there is a lot of reinvestment back in that particular part of the tool here for us. So guys, really appreciate you all hopping on and talking through some of your favorite releases that are coming out or that have just come out in R1. Really excited to see how planning hubs are going to change the way that folks are going to drive users' day-to-day activity. Matteo, really excited about how we're going to be able to utilize some access rules to be able to hide different things within modeled sheets, and also excited to see some enhancements to AI with the planning agent, our ML forecast technology as well. Anything that you all want to leave our listeners with as it relates to R1 releases, or maybe Adams, if you've got any jokes, anything like that you want to leave our listeners with?
I can just say the dashboards also, their charts have a nice gradient added to their selection. So charts are looking nicer, prettier. Dashboards start looking nice now.
Yeah, and I would just add, it's been really cool to see the iterative ways Workday has just been improving. The AI, the next step that we saw with R1, it's very cool to see the data exploration with the ML, the way they're thinking about scaling and increasing those efficiencies. So I'm just excited to see what's next.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, appreciate you guys hopping on and going through your demonstration of your favorite R1 releases. We're going to be back with another episode next month in the Planning Pulse podcast. Be sure to reach out to us if you have any questions. You want to learn a little bit more about the R1 releases. We'd be happy to hop on with you at any time and go through those in a little bit more detail. But until next month, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see us again soon. You can plan on it.